All right, everybody. In today's video, we're going to talk about why the Colts are even better than we thought. But here's the deal. We haven't done a Colts video before, but we love talking about teams that the NFL doesn't love talking about, or the national media, I should say. We're Lions fans. Me, my buddy Chris, we started this channel. We already have a channel called Sports Talk Detroit, but we love the NFL. So let's talk some Colts. And hey, a guy my age grew up, love the Colts. You got Peyton Manning, then you go Andrew Luck. We're Lions fans, so you got the blue. You got it. It all looked good. All right, even Harbaugh was there for a second. I even like Jeff George, which is weird. But anyways, let's not just talk about Colts quarterbacks. That's not the only position that exists. But in this video, and please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what your thoughts are on this. Here's the thing. The Indianapolis Colts are better than we thought, and there's a couple of reasons for this. I'm going to give you a few. But the main one, and I said this isn't just about quarterbacks, we're going to go back to the quarterback. Now, I know that Richardson got a concussion in this game. I think he actually got it on the second 20-yard touchdown that he ran for, which is just adding to my point of how good he is. But I think he got it there. And then eventually they kind of figured out, oh man, this guy has a concussion. We should get him out of this game. It's always kind of scary when it happens late like that, but sometimes that's just what happens. But Anthony Richardson played different in this game. Before the concussion, I believe he was 5 of 6 or 6 of 7, something like that. And then he had a few incompletions after it. In the first game against the Jags, it wasn't bad. He was 24 of 37. They moved the ball. He ran 10 times for 40 yards. Get down, young man. Get down. Learn how to slide. That's what I have to say. But the incompletions look different. The throws in this game look different. He had a greater command of the offense. He knew where he was going with the ball. He even had another completion to Josh Downs that was brought back because of a holding on, Braden Smith, number 72. So there were a bunch of different things that were going on. And I'm telling you, he is better. He looked even more explosive. He was running without guessing. He just knew where he wanted to be. And the end result was 2 healthy drives, 2 touchdowns. And in both of them, he ended it with a burst that was you knew he was big. You knew he was powerful, but I didn't know about the burst. You knew it was there, but it looked good. Now, you can give me the argument of they were playing the Houston Texans. You're right. They were playing the Houston Texans. And how did the Ravens do against the Texans last week? Not great. Lamar Jackson had a rough game. He had a rough game. And so you're sitting there and you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe the Texans defense isn't that terrible against a mobile quarterback. In fact, Lamar Jackson ended with 169 yards passing and 6 carries for 38 yards. He could barely muster 200 total yards. And then Richardson came out looking absolutely dominant in this game. Also, it was really nice to see what this offense could do with a competent running back. One running back saw carries in this game. Zach Moss. That's it. Zach Moss. And when you have a competent running back behind that offensive line, you're going to have a successful game. Now, will there be ups and downs with Richardson? Yes. There's going to be the ups of the potential, and he's going to meet it at times. And then there's going to be the, what are you doing? What are you doing? But he has a good enough offensive line, good enough offensive line, good enough weapons. When I say good enough offensive line, he has a good offensive line, and he has a good play caller. Shane Steichen, I think, kind of flexed his muscles in this game because even when Richardson came out, Gardner Minshew comes in and just goes ahead and completes 19 of 23 passes for 171 yards. Thank you. It was just good play calling. It's a guy who's familiar with the system. He came over with him from Philly. Great backup quarterback to have when you have an injury prone. And by injury prone, the only reason I'm saying that is because there were some in college and the dude doesn't slide. But I'm going to tell you the moment when I realized that Richardson was going to be a little bit better. And then I want to compare him to the quarterback on the other side and why you have to be feeling even better. The moment I realized Richards is going to be good, it doesn't make any sense. And you're going to make fun of me for it, but this is it. was when he was running to his left. He had two Texans defenders bearing down on him. And instead of taking the hit, he took the ball with his left hand and he threw it out of bounds with his left hand. Like, what that told me was this is a guy that's just playing football. He's not thinking too much. He's in a spot where his mind is clear enough that he can think to himself, I can get this out left hand. So he just did it. Now, with that just instinctive type of thing, that makes great quarterbacks. That also for the first couple of years is going to make you be like, oh my goodness, like the mistakes that this guy's making. You know who else was a very instinctive quarterback? I mean, don't get me wrong. He studied film like crazy, that made a ton of mistakes his first year in the league with a ton of interceptions? Peyton Manning, the GOAT. Yeah, you heard me say it, the GOAT. I don't care what people say. Peyton Manning's the GOAT. He's always been the GOAT. In fact, I'm a Lions fan. There's no shame in that. My daughter, 11 years old, me and my wife, she wanted to name her the name we eventually went with. I wanted Peyton. So we compromised and went with the name she wanted. But I stuck until the birth on that, but eventually lost out because it was a girl and we didn't want to name our daughter after a male football player. And by we, I mean my wife. So anyways, there's a little story for you. But I think the Colts are better. And then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, let's take a look at that. You know DeForest Buckner's good. You know he's solid. Then Kwity Paye is he is reaping the benefits of playing alongside DeForest Buckner. What you didn't expect is for Grover Stewart to put out the kind of play he's had right now. Right now in PFF, your interior defensive linemen are number 1 and number 2 rated defensive tackles in the NFL. That's really good. Your edge rushers are good enough. Your linebackers are solid. It's just the secondary that needs work, but that can be overhauled real quick. And you have young guys that are just hanging on out there, and that's all right as long as the defensive line and the linebackers can continue to play well. So with this defense throughout the year, kind of what I'm anticipating happening is teams are just going to throw the ball over the field. That's exactly what the Texans did in this game. They're going to throw the ball like crazy, and you're either going to have long sustained drives where they're throwing it against you, or 3 and outs because the defensive line is wreaking havoc. That D-line and those linebackers need to put pressure on the quarterback, because if they don't, this secondary can't hold up. All right. Now, there's got to be some frustration not being able to see Richardson play the whole game against a guy who is drafted ahead of him in CJ Stroud. But I would make the argument that even though Stroud threw for almost 400 yards, he also threw the ball 47 times, by the way, because your defensive line was so good they couldn't run it if they paid for it. 2 yards average per carry. Hello. All right. So teams are going to throw against you like crazy. So what the Colts are going to have to do is just continue to run, ground and pound, and keep the ball in their hands to give the defense some rest, which is exactly what their offense is built to do. This team is going to be better sooner than later. This offense is going to be better sooner than later. I'm not saying you're making the playoffs this year. I'm not saying anything crazy like that. What I am saying is you're going to have fun watching this team this year, whether it's 5 wins, whether it's 6 wins, whether it's 7 wins, but you're going to have fun watching them. Let's hope Richardson can get back healthy. That is just a minor concussion, if that's a thing. And so we can see him playing again, because he is fun to watch. And by the way, he's on my fantasy football team in Dynasty. 2-quarterback league. He's my number 2 quarterback. And I am happy to have him, because I have him and I have Josh Allen. So I have Josh Allen and then what I think he will be, which is eventually probably as good or better version of Josh Allen. Like, that's what you're excited about here, because he is probably faster and just as big. So just work on that accuracy like Allen, and great things are going to happen. Oh, I want to say one more thing. The offense in Philly has not looked great. It's obvious that Steichen was the mind behind it already, almost this early in the season. You got a brilliant offensive mind. Enjoy it. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment.